Picture this, a Hollywood icon, adored on red carpets and championed for her wholesome public persona, steps into a courtroom expecting a swift victory, only to realize her golden ticket defense is teetering on the edge. That's the whirlwind facing Blake Lively right now. She looked poised to shut down a co-director's defamation countersuit by leaning on California's sparkly new legal protection for sexual harassment disclosures. But in a shocking turn, the judge decided this countersuit isn't going anywhere, leaving her carefully orchestrated plan unraveling at the seams. So, how did we get here? And why is this particular legal fiasco sending such colossal shockwaves across Tinseltown? Buckle up, because this story has everything. A controversial new statute, rumors that big-name celebrities are weaponizing harassment claims, and an underdog countersuit that simply refuses to die. By the time we're through, you'll see why some industry insiders are calling it the boldest and riskiest celebrity legal gambit in years. Let's start with the law at the heart of this chaos. Section 47.1. It was designed to shield individuals who speak out about sexual harassment from crippling defamation lawsuits. In principle, it's a game changer, closing loopholes that once allowed the powerful to silence legitimate claims through sheer legal might. If your allegations are made in good faith and without malicious intent, this shiny new statute is supposed to keep you from getting tangled in defamation claims. Sounds simple enough, right? Except real-world cases are never that neat, and that's where Blake Lively's problems begin. Critics argue she set up her entire legal strategy around Section 47.1 before verifying whether she could even use it. The location of the alleged events, the timing of her legal filing, the question of actual malice, all of these complicate whether California's brand new Me Too privilege law truly applies. Even the very concept of good faith is in dispute. Blake's team insists she genuinely believed she'd been mistreated. Detractors say she only invoked the law after production conflicts spun out of control, suggesting the harassment angle might be more about power plays than personal well-being. In the end, Section 47.1 is a powerful shield, but only if a judge believes your story and sees no ulterior motives. For Blake, that confidence from the bench is anything but guaranteed. But that's only the first bombshell in this unfolding saga. While everyone was busy watching Blake brandish her new legal toy, Justin Baldoni made a move of his own. Frustrated by what he viewed as trumped-up harassment allegations, he unleashed a defamation countersuit aimed squarely at Blake. Usually, when A-listers go on the offensive, lesser-known figures fold. The star power alone, plus the potential for astronomical legal fees, can intimidate even the most determined litigants. Not this time. Baldoni dug in his heels. He filed details accusing Blake of orchestrating these claims to control the film, and, perhaps more crucially, to ensure she wouldn't face blame for any on-set troubles. Instead of quietly backing down, he has forced the courts to take a closer look at the timeline, the motivations, and the glaring jurisdictional issues that might undermine Blake's entire approach. Crucially, a judge has now determined Baldoni's countersuit is not just a minor detail to be brushed aside. It's alive and well, refusing to get dismissed. And that means the star faces something she likely never anticipated: potential liability and serious reputational damage in a case she was so confident she'd bury. Still, the real shockwave was yet to come. It's hard to overstate how vital jurisdiction is in legal battles. You don't get to handpick where you fight your lawsuit just because the local statute suits your agenda. In Blake's case, she marched into California state and federal courts to leverage Section 47.1. Yet Baldoni, a New York resident, points out that the alleged actions primarily occurred in or around New York, meaning California law might not even apply. This is more than just a minor technicality. It's a potential stake through the heart of Blake's entire defense. Judges are notoriously careful about letting plaintiffs shop around for more favorable legal terrain. If the court finds that these claims truly belong under New York's umbrella, Blake's prized new law could be effectively worthless. And that's not just a paper cut. It's a major wound if you based your entire legal strategy on a brand new regulation that might vanish under scrutiny. Baldoni's legal team is undoubtedly seizing this opportunity to argue that Blake's star power is no excuse for ignoring standard jurisdictional rules. If they succeed, the very foundation of her motion crumbles. But the next chapter reveals an even more tangled web. At the core of Blake's complaint are allegations that might sound serious on the surface. Remarks about her appearance, a dance sequence on set, visits to her trailer, and other alleged interactions that she deems inappropriate. Yet insiders say these examples fall squarely into the normal realm of film production. Directors routinely give notes on hair, wardrobe, and overall aesthetic. An after-hours dance break, or in-costume photo op, isn't exactly unusual. What makes this story fascinating and perhaps troubling is when she went public with these claims. Multiple sources report that Blake's accusations surfaced only after she was overruled on creative decisions. She allegedly wanted more direct influence on script changes and cast decisions, even the trajectory of a future sequel. Once she realized she didn't hold all the cards, the tone shifted. This timeline has left people wondering, was Blake genuinely uncomfortable with these interactions, or was she leveraging a timely new legal shield to force the studio to meet her demands? If the latter is true, it's a potential example of weaponized allegations, and that raises serious ethical questions about misusing laws intended to protect actual survivors. And just when it seemed things couldn't get more complicated, we all know Ryan Reynolds for his quick humor and charming on-screen banter, but behind closed doors, he's apparently taken on a more hard-edged role. Reports suggest he's called Baldoni a predator to certain Hollywood insiders, fueling an undercurrent of hostility that goes beyond simple spousal support. This isn't mere gossip over coffee, it's an active rumor-mongering campaign that could bolster Baldoni's claim of defamation and malice. Adding an extra twist, rumors swirl that Reynolds used Baldoni as partial inspiration for his infamous Deadpool persona, or at least a version of it that's more unhinged and morally dubious. If so, that's a major line to cross. No celebrity wants to be quietly turned into a mocking caricature in a big-budget production. And it's not as though Ryan's legal moves have calmed the waters. His own attempts to dismiss claims or disclaim involvement have been described by legal observers as bombastic, even spiteful. Far from diffusing tensions, he may be throwing gas on the fire. All this leaves the impression that the lively Reynolds household has launched a two-pronged offensive that's equal parts public posturing and legal bravado. But even with Hollywood's favorite comedic actor riding shotgun, the next problem looming over Blake is massive. Now, it might look like Baldoni's in a tough spot. He's effectively going toe-to-toe with a top-tier star and her powerful spouse. But there's more to the story. The real risk lies in how Section 47.1 can penalize him if he fails to prove his defamation case. Should the judge decide Baldoni's countersuit amounts to retaliation, he could face a devastating financial blow. The law allows for treble damages, triple the normal amount, plus attorney's fees and possibly punitive damages. Basically, if he loses, he could be forced to pay a towering sum, potentially in the millions. Meanwhile, if Blake loses, she faces no such built-in penalty. She might have to pay her lawyers out of pocket, but there's no automatic triple damages boomerang heading her way. This lopsided arrangement might be a key reason she felt confident enough to bring forth questionable claims. Because if everything goes sideways, she doesn't face the same crippling financial consequences Baldoni does. For him, it's high-stakes poker with real money on the table. For Blake, she's playing with house chips. However, the damage to public image doesn't care about statutory protections, as the next wave of speculation reveals. While these proceedings unfold in court, the court of public opinion has a mind of its own. At first, many people sided instinctively with Blake. After all, she's seen as a wholesome figure, an outspoken advocate on various social issues, and a fixture in comedic sketches with Ryan Reynolds. But with each new revelation, such as the questionable timing of her allegations, the swirling rumors of orchestrated sabotage, and the possibility that she cherry-picked California law, fans are starting to question the entire narrative. Social media has always been a double-edged sword for celebrities. It can amplify your brand, but also turn on you in a heartbeat if users sense manipulation. Early supporters who championed Blake's claims are now watching leaked set photos and dancing footage, reading stories about behind-the-scenes demands and asking, wait, is this for real? The more these details surface, the more it looks like a carefully spun storyline, meant to bend the public's sympathy. While none of this erases the possibility that Blake experienced legitimate discomfort, the apparent contradictions throw everything into doubt. Public confidence is a fragile thing, even for Hollywood royalty like her. But that's still not the final nail in this ever-expanding legal coffin. Let's address the whispered rumor swirling around industry circles, that Blake's allegations were less about personal safety or emotional well-being, and more about seizing control of the film's destiny. If you believe the rumors, the major blow-ups occurred when she pushed for more script input, demanded top-tier star perks, and even angled for creative authority over a potential sequel. Once the directors and producers hesitated or outright refused those demands, the harassment allegations mysteriously surfaced. This storyline suggests that she manufactured or exaggerated complaints to trigger protective laws, thereby giving her leverage in negotiations. If so, it's a cunning tactic, but also a nuclear one. Playing the harassment card in an era already fraught with industry accountability might work short-term, until a judge or a jury picks it apart. If a jury finds that the claims were a pretext to gain power, and not an authentic cry for justice, it would destroy her legal shield, open her to countersuits, and shatter her public image. That's where actual malice enters the picture. Under defamation law, particularly when dealing with high-profile figures, you usually have to prove the defendant acted with knowledge the statement was false, or with reckless disregard for its truth. If Baldoni successfully argues Blake acted with malice by weaponizing a brand new harassment disclosure law for personal gain, her entire defense could collapse like a house of cards. And once that collapse begins, there's little to stop the fallout. Legal wrangling at this level doesn't come cheap. With multiple 12b6 motions, countersuits, and high-powered attorneys on both sides, the costs are likely soaring into the seven figures. While Blake can undoubtedly afford a robust defense, Baldoni's side isn't exactly penniless either. He has backing from formidable investors and industry connections. Still, one side always has deeper pockets, and in these kinds of battles, that can be the deciding factor. The big risk for Baldoni is that if he fights for his reputation and loses, he's on the hook for an eye-popping amount of money. Even if he wins, the legal saga might drag on so long that the victory feels hollow, an epic moral triumph overshadowed by lawyers' fees. From Blake's perspective, even if she skates on the financial front, the real cost could be measured in public goodwill and future career opportunities. Powerful producers have gone under the microscope before. Ironically, so have actresses who appear to use laws for strategic advantage. Hollywood's collective memory can be short on good deeds, but very long when it comes to alleged manipulations, and the fiasco doesn't end there. So, where does this all lead? Right now, the judge's refusal to dismiss the countersuit is a major wake-up call for Blake. It signals that her reliance on California's brand new legal shield isn't a guaranteed golden ticket to walk away unscathed. If the jurisdiction issue swings in favor of New York law, her entire strategy might unravel at lightning speed. Meanwhile, Baldoni is gearing up for a potential war of attrition. Every piece of evidence, like behind-the-scenes video, text messages, or contradictory interviews, might be the key to proving Blake and Ryan's alleged malice. If such evidence surfaces, it could demolish their carefully curated images. And let's not forget the possibility of a second, or even third, amended complaint, which might outline even more damning allegations if Baldoni's legal team keeps digging. Then there's the possibility of settlement. High-profile cases often end in private agreements to avoid the circus of public trials. But given the bitterness already swirling, it's hard to see either side retreating gracefully. Baldoni's entire livelihood is tied to clearing his name. Blake and Ryan's brand might crumble if they cave. A settlement might still happen, but if it does, it'll likely come at an astronomical price, and with strict confidentiality clauses. Still, the tension keeps building, and the biggest question remains. This isn't just another celebrity lawsuit. It's a crossroads between star power, new legal territory, and the deeply personal fight over who controls the narrative. Blake Lively walked into court expecting a quick kill shot, brandishing Section 47.1 as though it guaranteed her the moral and legal high ground. Instead, the judge's decision to keep Baldoni's countersuit alive has jolted her seemingly flawless plan. She's playing a high-stakes game of chess, but the board may not be in California at all. It might be in New York, where that special protective law doesn't exist. If a jury eventually decides that Blake's harassment claims weren't made in good faith, or that they were timed to strong-arm production into meeting her demands, the house of cards collapses. Actual malice becomes more than just a legal buzzword. It becomes the final nail in a carefully crafted Hollywood persona. Meanwhile, Baldoni isn't exactly free from peril. If his countersuit fails, he could be on the hook for a monstrous payout, potentially ending his career or bankrupting his production ventures. The gulf between them is cavernous, one side risking catastrophic financial ruin, the other risking catastrophic public humiliation. And in Hollywood, sometimes losing face is worse than losing money. So here we are, on the cusp of a trial that promises revelations, contradictions, and no shortage of shocking headlines. Is Blake Lively truly the victim of a manipulative co-director? Or is she pulling the strings, using new legal protections as a sword instead of a shield? Whatever the answer, one thing is certain. The reputations of everyone involved are now hanging by a thread. This legal showdown has become a spectacle nobody can ignore, and it's only heating up. If you think we've already seen the most dramatic moments, think again. When massive egos, brand new laws, and multi-million-dollar stakes collide, the real show is just beginning. Strap in for the fallout, because even the biggest names in Hollywood can't outrun the truth forever. And in a world where reputation is currency, losing public trust can be the harshest verdict of them all.